Ron Carroll is one of the veteran lockmasters on the canal.
For many Canadians, in very casual conversations, you can hear, like, A all over the place. That A seems to dominate, especially to people to whom it's unfamiliar. Of course, Canadians hear it all the time and don't pay much attention to it, but it's a feature that people like to pick up on.
Well, steel cuttings, they'll smolder, but there've never been no actual flame to them, but they're hot. They run hot,
Most Canadians like to say a lot, whereas Americans, they say huh, and Canadians say a.
It's just like breathing in and breathing out. For a Canadian, they don't notice it so much, but other people do.
I got an old mule and her name is Sal, 15 miles on the inland canal. She's a good worker and a good old pal, 16 miles on the inland canal. We've hauled some barges in our day, full of lumber, coal and hay, and we know every inch of the way. One more trip and home we'll go. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge, for we're coming to a town. And you'll always know your neighbor, you'll always know your pal, if you ever navigated on the inland canal.
Westwards for thousands of inland Canadian miles, through the vast provinces of Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, in the streets and over the air, there's a general Canadian accent that began here in Niagara. The English of the Niagara region of southern Ontario spread west from this loyalist heartland, leveling out over time into a standard Canadian English. Across the border, the same process was happening in the United States. As the 19th century unfolded, the restless citizens of the new republic began pushing back their frontiers, north and south, and overland to the west. But their first highways were the continent's mighty rivers. River society raced with vivid new jargon. A roustabout was a deckhand. Today, he works on an oil rig. Slaves were sold down the river. A showboat was a deluxe steamer with onboard entertainment. A riverboat, wrote Mark Twain, is like a wedding cake without the complications. The captain and pilot of the Delta Queen are Southerners who know the 4,500 miles of these treacherous waters by heart.
How's she going?
Boy, it seems to be a little bit out of place for down 11 foot here, Cam.
Looks like that reef's running out past that, but...
Yeah, I'm gonna pull her on out.
The west bank of the Mississippi was known as the Outlands. The Old English word outlandish now took on a new connotation.
Well, the Outlands were this west of the Mississippi River, unsettled, wild animals and all this. And the people became, the term outlandish was applied to them because they wore coonskin hats and buckskin clothes and moccasins, and they were very individualized. And the word outlandish later meant somebody was rather rough and rowdy and wore an unusual dress.
There were gamblers chancing the wheels of fortune up and down the river.
Gamblers' life I do admire, doo-dah, doo-dah. The best of rum they do require, oh, the doo-dah day. The vodka shots begin to town, the doo-dah, doo-dah. I played all night and I cleaned them out, oh, the doo-dah day. I'm bound to play all night, I'm bound to play all day. I bet my money on the ace and king, who dare bet on the trade.
American English owes much to that legendary individual, the Mississippi riverboat gambler. The most famous American card games, faro and poker, developed in French-speaking New Orleans. And so did the familiar terms, ace, deuce, trey.
An ace, queen, 10.
Betting was so much a part of the frontier life that then as now, many Americans didn't just say yes, they said, you bet. The mother of the novelist Anthony Trollope observed that no boat left New Orleans without one or two gentlemen whose profession it was to drill the 52 elements of a deck of cards to profitable duty.
Captain, just put it in a pile. Cut 'em.
Cut 'em.
Long and strong, huh?
Long and strong. Deal the card.
Card dealing has given us phrases like square deal, fair deal, raw deal, and the derisive big deal.
There's 5, and there's 5, and there's 5.
In front of the dealer was a buckhorn-handled knife, called simply a buck. A player who didn't want to risk dealing would pass it to the next player, or pass the buck.
Here we go.
Card sharpers who gave dealing a bad name might stack the deck, or deal from the bottom of the pack.
2 for you.
3.
3.
A player on a winning streak would need a poker face, especially when his neighbor called his bluff.
Your eyes are rolling around like you got something on over there. Looky here. You think I'm not a lover? Look at all these hearts I got here, gang. There's one right there. There's another one right there. There's another one right there. There's another one right there. And there's another one right there. If anybody beats that, I'm gonna start crying. You get that. Damn, you're Ante up.
Ante up?
Ante up.
Ante up means to put money in the pot before the betting begins. The phrase for openers meant an early bet. To up the ante was to raise the stakes.
Jacks to better. Just straight.
Oh, yeah. Holy cat, who dealt this mess?
You did.
Okay,
Me?
how many you take?
I'll take 3.
Take 3. All right, that means a pair. Okay, what do you take?
I want 4 of them. Don't get so serious.
When stockbrokers talk about blue chip investments, or hitting the jackpot, or cashing in their chips, they're using poker slang.
Holy cat.
To string along meant to stay in the game. And a player who'd had enough would simply throw in his hand and say, deal me out.
That's pretty good. I got the paper sale.
Hey, oh, bless your heart, Captain. Bless your heart. You're going to feed the kids for a couple of days.
I'm bound to play all night, I'm bound to play all day. I'll bet my money on the ace and king, who dare bet on the trade.
The king's a layout from the top,
Doo-dah, doo-dah,
that's where I let my money drop.
oh the doo-dah day.
There's faro, poker, and 21.
Doo-dah, doo-dah,
For me to beat is only fun.
oh the doo-dah day. I'm bound to play all night, I'm bound to play all day. I'll bet my money on the ace and king, who dare bet on the trade.
By the 1830s, the fur trappers had opened up a new frontier, the Rockies, the home of the solitary mountain men, French voyageurs, and Indian traders. The fur trappers who hunted the highly prized beaver gave us similes like an eager beaver and to work like a beaver. Trading in valuable buckskins, earlier trappers had measured their wealth in bucks, a word that was later applied to the mighty dollar. But in the 1840s, there were easier bucks than fur trading. The secret was out.
When we formed our band, we were all well manned to journey afar to the promised land.